All right, good afternoon. Welcome. Oops. Good afternoon. Welcome. It's time for Technical Wizard. Hope everyone's having a good Friday. It's been pretty darn good over on my end. All right, we're going to take a look at the broader markets. I think what I'm going to do is start using trading view for this. It doesn't have my indicators other than like the moving averages. I can probably put on a momentum indicator like a MACD. I think that should be fine. We could use a MACD. It's pretty close. I just need one of them, not two of yous. All right, let's see. That should be fine. But what I'm going to do, yeah, I think trading view it looks more visually appealing as opposed to maybe something like this where you have to like really squint here. It would help if I there we go. So that's what that looks like. And then as opposed to this where it looks a little more squishy. I guess we could do both really if I see anything. I pulled up AbbVie because I saw that AbbVie was having a nice little day here. The one thing I'm not really confused, concerned with, I would say, about AbbVie is, yes, you are holding the daily 21 EMA, but you see this big volume node here on a sell-off day. That does have me worried or concerned to try a long on AbbVie. So what I would probably like to do is to see if we can't break back above 180. If AbbVie can break above 180 on above average volume, that would make me feel more comfortable. If we happen to pop up to 180 and reject, that'll tell me that, you know, this is in fact some pretty heavy selling going on. But all right, we've had a pretty phenomenal week so far in the market. The bullishness pretty much continues, even though the ranges have been kind of bleh over the past 2 days. Yesterday and today, the ranges have just been absolutely horrendous. But SPY, it has no reason to quit. I mean, we are on a pretty darn strong uptrend. We were riding the 21 EMA. Every time we dip down to the 21 EMA, things tend to hold up pretty darn well. The last time we revisited the 21 EMA on the daily time frame was last week, and since then we've recovered pretty nicely. Lifetime highs, breakout, nothing to alarm. It's just the same story here. Dips continued to be bought up and off we go. So what we want to do today is really to make sure there's no significant cracks within the surface here, and that's what we are going to do. But yeah, we definitely want to start out by looking at the SPY. SPY continues to march on higher. If we do get a dip back down to the 21 EMA, that does seem like a buyable dip. Remember, trend is your friend until it isn't. And at this point, SPY has not really given us a reason to not trust the trend here. So we continue to march up. Now, if we have a daily close below the 21 EMA, that will give us some cause of concern there. But overall, like I said, bullishness continues on all the time frames. I don't see any divergences as of right now. That you might have one on the hourly. We can pull that up real quick. Let's see if it shows up on the MACD. No, not quite. Yeah, not really. So that's good. Let me see about a RSI as well. Let me put up that too, just to kind of peek, see where things are at. Nope, no divergence really. That still looks pretty darn healthy to me as far as the RSI goes. So all in all, trend continues. Let's get rid of MACD. Let's just use momentum. Let's just use RSI, relative strength. Okay, so that's the SPY there. Resistance, we might have some overhead up here at about 525 from yesterday. It looked like we were going to try to get a gap fill today. We didn't quite get there. I still hold some lottos. Those will just expire worthless. But I did have some profit on it, but it's kind of like a wash because I had some gains and just kind of erasing it with that expiring worthless. It is what it is. But overall, we've had a good day. I mean, I'm up about 1K today. So all in all, it could be worse. Let's go check out the Qs, see how the NASDAQ is doing. NASDAQ continues to be quite impressive. I think on TradingView, that's going to be my problem. We'll have these weird drawings everywhere. Old drawings at least. Qs continue to be relentless, mainly because of semiconductors. Semiconductors are holding up pretty well. MU had their earnings yesterday. You had this gap up. You're holding that gap. If you like to use anchored VWAP, it is good to put one on the gap up and see where things are residing. And look at that. You can see that the anchored VWAP from the earnings gap up has held as support. So that is pretty cool there. Let's see. You got Broadcom has been looking pretty good. Intel continues to be sloppy. AMD is hanging on to the daily 50 right now. If AMD loses this daily 50, that could definitely spill some trouble. This is technically still within a buy zone here, but if we start to lose like 179 on a daily close, yeah, that would get me to scratch my head a little bit. And as you can see here with the RSI, the relative strength, we can see that that is below the 50 mark. So we are in a little bit of a bearishness on the relative strength index, and I'm going to come over here and also look at my indicators on TOS if it will load up because TOS is slow. Let's see, just to look, we still have overall, especially on the hourly, it's neutral bull. And the reason why I say it's neutral bull is because the oscillator is above 50. In fact, it's got a reading of 60. But the EMA has pulled back to the midline. So what that tells me is that the overall trend, yeah, it's still bullish, but there's been some recent volatility, which has created, this nice little pullback on the hourly time frame. So what I want to look at here is now bring up the hourly chart on AMD. Zoom out because that will give us some cues here. I need to move that. It just looked like there's a black line. That might just be the wicks and stuff. Okay, yeah. Okay, so over here on AMD, what you want to look at when we start to lose these key moving averages, you want to look left and see where there's possible support. So I'm going to draw a line right here, about 162. All right, now let's go to the daily. Yeah, that's going to be big support. So if we happen to crack below 179 on a daily close, look out below to about 162, 160 for a move down. You had this very wicked, it was wicked. You had this nice little shooter candle, what was that, 2-3 weeks ago, and now you've had a little bit of a problem trying to stick the landing on support. So AMD going through it, no doubt about that. Something to keep an eye on going into next week for sure. Okay, so that's AMD. Let's go over to the IWM small caps. Yeah, small caps, they're hanging in there. It's not the most exciting chart by any means. Yeah, I'm gonna have to change those wick colors, or the box. IWM, it mainly has a problem with this 209 level, and I'm gonna bring that up because I have my main drawings here on Thinkorswim. If you can break above 209 on a daily close, that will get you back into the prior range that we had you know, 2021, 2022 when we started to break down. But that would be a nice positive sign. Do I think we can eventually get there? But keep in mind, there's going to be plenty of frustrated people here as well. So it's like we're trading. It's almost like robbing Peter to pay Paul, because like we got into this range here, hooray! Now we're going to come back into this range. It's still not going to be a pretty moving index by any means, like we've seen in the Qs and in the SPY. It's definitely going to take some time for the IWM to, you know, make some headway back up into this region. And not to mention, we're still dealing with high interest rates and all that kind of good stuff. So small caps are going to continue to have a tough time. Although, you know, you could argue that there are some positive signs out there. But for now, that's the level that we're going to stick with. If we happen to break above this 209 mark, then sure, that could be a nice positive sign there. So let me put this on that chart as well. Yeah, about that 210. That's kind of where things were at. 210, 209. If we can get above that zone, then sure, she can have a nice little move. But for now, we're just at the upper end of resistance. So there's that. The Dow, the diamonds, so close to 40,000, but so far it's like you know, the little, it's like that raccoon from Ace Ventura just trying to hang on for dear life before it falls down into the abyss of the canyon. Not saying that diamonds are gonna go down so, but you had this really nice breakout above 393. Beautiful breakout candle, follow through, almost hitting 400 on the Dow, getting a pullback today, which is fine. A pullback would allow us to get into some better entries here. Trend still looks very bullish on multiple time frames, the weekly, the daily, the hourly. In fact, we are pulling back right now to the hourly 21, so that's not a bad idea to try to nibble on something here to catch the wave back up. That is something that we can look at, no doubt about that. RSI has definitely been a little overcooked here, and as you can see, it's turning on down. Let me see, let me fix this. All right, yeah, let's get rid of that. I just want the RSI. All right, so the RSI overbought, and now we're pulling back. So it's a good sign. Let's see. So if we get to, yeah, 400 is going to be a big spot. So if I want to get my hands dirty in this, let me see. Let's see. What is I gotta look on my other screen to see what things are looking like. Yeah, you can get a $400 call for May for about 520. That's not bad. It's not a bad idea. Get you plenty of time, about 60 days. You could probably entertain the idea of an April, but if we have a short-term pullback, that would kind of hurt. $400 call for April is $2.60 with a 36 delta and 8 cents theta. That'll of course speed up as we move along. I think that could be an interesting idea, especially if we catch a bid here at the hourly 21. I think that's something to keep in mind. But all right, so the Dow looks good on the breakout. Really cool pullback, definitely like that. Let's go to Boeing. No, Boeing actually looks like a short here. You had this nice pull down. Remember, we played Boeing to the downside on this 190 break. You had this nice move back down to 180, which was fantastic. You called a bid here. You know, we were kind of talking about it this morning. Do I think Boeing's going to recover eventually? Needs some leadership change, but structurally speaking, this is still damaged goods. It's guilty until proven innocent at this point. You got the key moving averages moving down, the 50s moving down. You got a flat to declining 200. there's nothing really pretty about this. I know you had this nice little bounce here on slightly above average volume, but that could have just been shorts covering here, and especially with the rejection here at the 21, we could very well move lower. So I think bowing to the downside could be a cute candidate for another put play, especially since we got this nice little shooter candle. A little bit of a, what is that, a evening star? Let's see. Let me come over here and check the signals. Remove drawing. All right, and the good thing about this is we have a good risk to reward setup because we're right here. We're close to the 21 EMA as opposed to buying new puts down here. And we could have stops down here. Now we do have a little bit of a cross up on the hourly, but we're still in overall bearish territory as far as bowing goes. So let me see here, and it's almost like every day there's something wrong going on with their planes. 30 minutes, you rejected that. Let me see, what did do we have any squeezes on the board? We don't have any squeezes, no squeezies. All right, we may have to wait until Monday. Just need one more piece of the puzzle. What I would like to see, though, is a thrust down signal on at least the 30-minute or the hourly, because we've already come through on the buy program. So what I would prefer is to see a down arrow here on my indicator set, and that way we can play the downside. So I think bowing's a pretty interesting candidate for some downside. RSI was oversold. Now you've gotten a bounce back to about that 40 mark. So it looks pretty good to me. Let's go check out the yields. Rates continue to seem to reject that 4.3 mark and move down. Nothing too spectacular there. Let's go to the VIX. VIX, you know, we've had a few days where it spikes up to about 14.5, but she can't seem to have a good close above 15. So until we get a pretty decent close above 15, I don't see any real reason to be concerned. Even the volatility of volatility, the VIX, is shockingly getting hammered down. We had this nice little spike on the volatility of volatility on this day right here, only to get smacked the crap down. So there's just no fear in this market. Bulls continue to be quite in control. Bonds are holding steady. You could argue that, you know, we're in a little bit of a holding pattern here, but for the most part, I mean, this is, you could argue that this is either a wedge or a flag that's trying to break out. And if bonds do that number, that's a tailwind for stocks in general. So I like the look at that. Well, it's got some work to do, of course, but nonetheless, it's not too bad. Let's go check out the dollar. Dollar is, you know, a little bit of a thorn in the badonkadonk. Let me pull that up on my indicators and see what that's looking like. You could argue it's not really making too much progress. Trend is very neutral, as highlighted on the weekly and on the daily, but you are starting to get a little bit of bullishness on the hourly. That could very well be a cause of concern, and it is going to be interesting to see how this market does want to digest the Japanese central bank getting rid of their negative interest rates, and it makes you wonder, okay, is the carryover trade dead at this point, and how is that going to affect the dollar? And basically what the carryover trade is that you borrow from a low interest rate entities such as Japan, and you put that into a high interest commodity, and you take that, and it's really easy money. And usually the large institutions and banks do this. Us little folk can't do that, but that's what they do. They borrow from Japan, they invest in dollars, they take the winnings from the dollar to invest it elsewhere and to pay back the interest that was made. And it was like a 4% easy return there. So now that the carryover trade, I wouldn't say the carryover trade is dead yet, just because it's still really, really cheap to borrow from Japan. They just went from negative interest rates to ever so slightly positive, from 0.0 to like 0.1. So, it is that. But all right, so the dollar signals here. Sorry, I went on a little rant there. Neutral trend, bullishness on the hourly. So if we're looking at a breakout on the dollar, I want to see if we happen to break out above 105, 105.40. That is definitely a cause for concern. I know I got a lot of lines there, but 105, 105.40 could potentially signal some potential problems there. That could act as a headwind for the markets, because then it's not so it makes things a little bit more expensive, and it makes the carryover trade less enticing. All right, so that is a possible problem. Just kind of make a note of that. But for the most part, VIX is down, bonds are doing a good job. I guess we could look at the junk bonds too, the HYG. This looks pretty fantastic to me. This is the junk bonds, the junk of the junk. If they're willing to buy the junk, that tells you that there's some frothiness going on within the market for sure. And this is definitely a positive sign. So I like to look at the HYG from time to time, just to see, how much fun people are having in a way. Like I said, if they're willing to buy the junk, then yeah, this market can continue to go higher. We do have a little bit of resistance at about the 78 mark. So if we break out above that, it'd be a really positive sign there. Jump bonds breaking out would be a positive. Let's go to the RSP, which is the equal weighted S&P 500. So Ford is equal to the same as Apple, or, Ford's the same as Google. Is pretty much everybody wears an equal hat here within the RSP. And yeah, you still got a nice bullish trend here on the equal weighted ETF here on the RSP. So yeah, I don't see any clear warning signs out there that tells me that if we do get a dip next week, that the dip shouldn't be bought. Next, we want to look at potential catalysts, and we've kind of talked about this before. Like, if bears have something to prove there, or want something to break, they need a catalyst. And we already had Powell, so that catalyst is gone. Powell was very clear and very adamant that even with the slightly higher reading of the inflation data that we had this past go around with CPI, PPI, and PCE, it's just a little bit of a bump, but nothing to really be worried about. They were kind of anticipating this anyway to begin with, but if we continue to see inflation really start to pick up, then that's a problem. Then they're going to have to raise rates again. And he also mentioned that if something were to break, they are already willing to go ahead and cut rates, but they see absolutely no indication of something breaking at this moment. So, I think they're doing a good job at communicating what their intentions are, and that they're going to continue to review the data as it comes in. So I don't think there's too much of an issue, and they've stuck to their guns, and I think the market has, really, been believing that, because, the last time, the market didn't really trust Powell and wanted to twist his arm a bit, but he's stuck to it, since COVID and all that. So gotta hand it to the man. Definitely wouldn't want his job. But let's look at the, economic calendar. Like I said, bears need some sort of catalyst in order to try to break something down. So let's see what's going on the economic calendar side for next week. Starting out on Monday, we got the building permits and new home sales data. Yeah, that could be interesting. You got Bostic speaking, but I don't think that's going to be enough to really break anything. We also got durable good orders and consumer confidence. That one could be big on Tuesday. Wednesday, got some Feds. You got Waller speaking after hours, mortgage, crude oil inventories, nothing too crazy. Jobless claims, our weekly jobless claims PCE. Okay, there we go. Chicago PMI, that could be interesting. Pending home sales. But yeah, we got this core PCE and GDP all next week. That's going to be pretty crucial. And then Friday, we close it up with that core PCE reading. So Thursday and Friday, those are going to be the catalyst there for us. GDP, they did release updated GDP information, and this will be our Q4 reading from last year. So this will be pretty big. And then Friday is going to be pretty good because the PCE reading. Oh, you got Powell speaking at 11:30 on Friday. What's he talking about, or is he just doing an intro? Let's see. Federal Reserve. Let's see. Chairman Powell. Okay, it's not going to really give me that. Can you give me? It won't. Okay, so it just shows me past events. That's annoying. All right, so we have Powell speaking next Friday. Also, that's going to be big, and that comes on top of the PCE prices. The PCE, that is what the Fed is using that's their main gauge of inflation here, and we definitely want to be aware of that. So Thursday and Friday will be our big days, more so Friday with that PCE reading. That could be a potential catalyst for next week and for the bears to utilize. Earnings, as far as earnings go, nothing too much right now. GameStop on Tuesday, who cares? Unless you are a GameStop player, I guess. Let's see, who else do we got? Not much. Walgreen Boots on Thursday. What is that? Gold royalty. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see anything market moving, if you ask me. So there's your earnings for next week. Carnival, if you like it. GameStop, if you want to be a degen there. Just mind that IV. But all right, so Friday, definitely the key point there. Okay, so market just kind of hanging out here. Nothing too crazy. I'm going to run a scan here in just a moment, and then we can take a look at any kind of ticker that you want to take a look at. Let's see. Let's go through some of these sectors first. Let's go to the communications. Pretty darn bullish there. Healthcare, that one's interesting. You got names like Lilly. Lilly looks pretty good. That is a candidate as well. Might have to take a look at that one. Let's go to Merck. Merck is also a pretty good one too. Pulled back, lost the daily 50, but has reestablished itself after that dividend payout. Had a big volume node here. And I like to put an anchored VWAP there as well, just to have it on there. That's a big volume node to kind of mark down. We've talked about AbbVie. If AbbVie can break above 180, I like that one. Johnny John. Ooh, Johnny John. What's going on with you, buddy? Let's see. If Johnson & Johnson loses this 155 mark, look out below. Let's actually pull that up on the signals. Here's Johnny. How are we looking? Ooh. I might have to play a put here on Johnson & Johnson. My only... Let's see. We got earnings on the 16th, so we got about 3 weeks before earnings. It could hold here, so you got an hourly squeeze too. I might take a nibble here. So here's what we're looking at here with Johnson & Johnson. You got a little bit, we could call this support zone here at about that 155 mark, and it hasn't quite broken down yet. You had this high volume node here, spinner, and then you broke below that spinning top, and since then, let me put that candle here. So not candle, that drawing tool there. We can see that we broke below this spinner top. Here's your spinner. Indecision, bulls and bears, almost in agreement here, but now bears have taken over. You had that high volume, broke down, popped back up, rejected, popped back up, rejected, and now you're trying to see if you can crack this support here and move lower to about 152. Would probably be 153. Johnson, it's not the most thrilling name by any means, but you know, we could probably play it for a cute little buck. And then of course, if we break back up to the upside, I would have a stop above this 157 mark, back above this slight resistance zone and into the prior. You got the daily 21 EMA right there, kind of crossing. So we're doing some really granular look here. The 50's curling down, 21's crawling down, 200's relatively flat. RSI here is at 36, bearish. If we go to the indicators, you got an hourly squeeze. Hourly squeeze. Hey, pin. There we go. Hourly squeeze. Structure. This is flat. That's down. That's down. This is overall bearish. You could call it neutral bear still because the oscillator isn't below the 50 line yet. This is doing what it's supposed to do. Momentum. You do have, that is negative. That is bearish with negative thrust on the daily. This continues to move lower on the weekly. So, you know, if I had to score this, it'd probably be about an 8. And the only reason why I say it's an 8 is because we're a little extended. There's a little bit of air gap between price and the key moving averages. But I think we could possibly enter into a put play here on Johnson & Johnson. So I'm going to pull up the options chain and see, you know, what we can possibly look at. So we're trading at about 155.30 right now. I'd probably just go ahead and look at the April cons for 155. That's about 45 delta. I don't mind the 160s because you get 78 delta. So those are two possibilities. Let me go out to March. Not March, May. It's gonna be May. Yeah, you got the same boat there. 155s are pretty good. 45 delta. Just get a little bit more time, which that's probably not a bad idea. A little bit more time, you get about the same delta. It costs a little bit more. You're paying $3 as opposed to 220-ish, and you have good friends here too. You got about 3,800 people in the OI, so it's not bad. I'm gonna try to put that on. All right, so Johnson & Johnson is a very good candidate. Let's continue to shop around. Let's go to the industrials. Industrials are very bullish. You had earnings from FedEx. You've blasted off into outer space at this point. You could probably put a anchored VWAP right there. See where that takes you. And you also had UPS running with it. Although UPS is coming right up to the daily 200. Not out of the woods yet. Let's go to Uber. Just kind of look at some of these transports. Uber's not bad. We've already looked at Boeing. Boeing's a good candidate. Okay. Let's see. Go. That is not what I wanted to pull up. Let's look at that. Let me see here. Yeah, GE. Yeah, General Electric's, man, such insane. Would love a dip on that one. Cat. Let's see. Uber. Union Pacific is also in there with the XLI. I'm probably not going to mess with Union Pacific. That one's a little bit weird. Let's go to the XLP. Consumer staples. You got names like Pepsi, Coke, Procter and Gamble. We're in that one with stops at the daily 21 EMA if we get a daily close below that. But for right now, we're trying to catch a break here. We need to see a push above 162, 163. So we'll see if we can catch it. XLK. Yeah, that still looks fine. Of course, all eyes are on tech, especially Apple right now. Microsoft has broken out into lifetime highs as well. I would definitely like to get into some sort of swing play on Microsoft if I can catch a decent pullback. This has already moved back to about the 428. It's okay. It's not a bad pullback by any means, but I mean, this chart's still pretty bullish. So we'll see what happens probably next week. I probably won't go too heavy on tech swings just because of the PCE reading that we have going into next week. So let's just kind of hold off on tech. But I mean, we've already witnessed, I mean, Nvidia looks really good, trying to break it towards 974. And in fact, if we get above 974, you get to that luxurious $1,000 mark that everybody and their mama is looking at. We had a good day trade today on Nvidia with some debit spreads. We took debit spreads just because it was just way too darn expensive to play just straight naked calls. So went with the debit spreads, won a nice hundo there. All right, just want to throw it out there. If anybody has any ticker requests, feel free to shout them out. Other than that, I'm going to just keep on rambling here. Energy sector looks pretty strong. That's not really good for inflation. PSX still looks pretty darn good if you ask me. We played this one not too long ago, had a nice juicy win off of it. Would love to play it again if possible. If we get this breakout above 159, that would send us I don't want that one, I want that one. Let's see, let's go here. Yeah, 162.50 would be my next target there for PSX. ZOM has also been pretty good. COP was another one that we played. We played this on the breakout of the daily 200, ran it up, hit our target of 115 and 116 and a half. So that was a pretty sweet. Granted, it's at 122 now, but man, what a beautiful move. Everybody's favorite, especially Warren Buffett, Oxy. I don't really like to mess with this one unless it's shares, to be honest with you. It's good for your long term if you want to ride the coattails of Warren Buffett, but for the most part, not really good for options. I like it for a long term hold because there's so many eyes on this one in particular. Let me go back to AMD because AMD is still kind of holding. Meta looks pretty darn good too if we can catch a little bit more of a pullback. You see this pullback here to the daily 21. This was a fantastic dip buy opportunity. That's something that we want to look for. Something like that. Let's go to Google, not Goog. I prefer Google. Some people prefer Goog, but I think most everybody prefers Google. A little bit airy here between price. Let's see. It's still very bullish though. Let's check out the financials. Financials, they've definitely had their nice move. I like Goldman. I like Goldman a lot. We've gotten this pullback to 406.60. This was a big squeeze here, and I'll bring that up here on my indicators so you can see what we're looking at. That's the intraday. I don't want intraday, I want the daily. There we go. So Goldman has been in this squeeze since January, late December, maybe. Yeah, January. Since January, had this pretty good move. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Bullish trend, just not moving anywhere at all. And we've had this pullback today on this breakout from yesterday. Try to get a little bit of a continuation move. And now we're retesting this 406 level, filled that gap, and then you have a big gap up to about 420. So if we're looking at this, let me see. So we got Goldman's a really good candidate. I would like to see where our price target would be here on Goldman. So let's go and measure this. Let's mark it here. Seems to be a good support. We can also do a level, a mini level about right here. I think it's pretty good. So we got a mini Darvas box and a bigger Darvas box, if you ask me. So we can do both levels just to see where they put us. So I'm going to measure from this one to this one. Okay, so that puts you at about 419. All right, now let's do this one. It's probably already hit. Yeah, this already hit the main target. So there's that. So 419. We've pulled back to about 406. The hourly, we like that hold. The daily squeeze is still firing long. That's what I really like about this. So it's not like we're early. Let me see the 30-minute chart. We did pull back to the 30-minute 21 EMA. All right, let me see what these are pricing like. So we got Johnson & Johnson to the downside. I need to write this down on a notepad. I spilled coffee earlier before I went on live, so that was bad. So we like Johnson & Johnson for puts. We like Goldman for calls. We like AMD for puts if if close below the 50 simple. Is there a way to font simmer down? It's way too big. All right, so that's that. So Goldman, Goldman. Let's go check out their contracts. Ooh, they pricey. May, no, that's way too expensive. So let's go out to April expiration. That gives us about 30 days. Yeah, those are pricey too. Goldman's got some expensive options. So let's see, 420. The 420s would be all right. The 420s, just because we are targeting about 419. You can see it hit a high today at 416. It's trading now at about 406. So it definitely does have, it can have some good range. You can see these candles are kind of tightly close together here on the daily. But you can catch these pops here, and I think that would be pretty good. So I like that idea. The 420s, 420 call for April. Is that January, February, March? April 419. Okay. So those look good. I know Lady was in JP Morgan at some point, and I'm pretty sure she made her profit off of that. Bank of America, yeah. Wells Fargo looks good too. RSI is a little heated. Goldman pulled back in. So BC, Wells Fargo. Let's check out Schwab. Schwab's also having a KRE. How about the KRE? Ugh. Nope. PNC. Yeah, I don't mind that one either. Needs to break 157. So we like PNC on the break. 150, we'll say 158 there because it's 157 some change. So 158 on PNC could be pretty good. The KRE, the regional banks, they're still a little bit wonky. What about Berk B? We've had some fun with Berkshire. Is it ready for us again on the pullback? Maybe. Let's go check out those signals. We like Berk B. They're fun. They're cheap. Still in a squeeze. Momentum looks good. Neutral. I think I need to wait for this 30-minute signal to play out, though. 1 hour. Yeah. We're still in overall trend alignment. Bullish. Bullish. This is bullish. And this is pulling back. Sometimes when you have strong bullish moves, this can act as dynamic support. You see we got this negative thrust signal on the hourly. So what we want to see is this to curl back up, and we either get an hourly up signal or a move back above where the arrow was given, because that will negate that. So ultimately we probably need a move back above 415, 416. If we get a move above 416, then I would want to go long again and play this upside to about 430 this time. So we're gonna watch that. Let's put that back in our plan. Berk B. Long above 416 for a move towards 430. Yeah, I like that. Berk B, and we also need the reversal signal to pan out. So, I mean, there's definitely some signs out here that we're still pretty frothy. So we like XLF for sure. Raymond James. Raymond's looking really good. Let's see. Let's go to the XLY now. Consumer discretionary. That's going to have your Amazon names. Names like Amazon and Tesla. Tesla continues to be a little bit of a wild child. Let's see. Who else do we have in here? Tesla, Home Depot. Oh yeah, McDonald's. How's McDonald's looking? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Not loving it. Chipotle. Chipotle doing that 50-for-1 split. That's going to be awesome. Let's see. Nike. Nike had their earnings down a little bit off of it. Not as bad as Lulu. Lulu got smacked down. Seems like Nike leggings are better. I said that in chat. I didn't get any laughs. All right, so that's that. All right, so if I were to pick some of these, we definitely got some candidates here. All right, XLY. Did we skip anybody? I don't really care for the XLRE. Industrials, semiconductors, healthcare, communications, the Utes, utilities. Duke. Nah, I don't really care too much to mess with utilities unless we are having a down market. Defensive seem to do a lot better, and XLU is definitely defensive, and the XLU is definitely not heavily weighted within the S&P, so I don't really want to mess with that too much. Let's go back to Amazon real quick. Need to get a breakout above 180, I believe. Yeah, man, look at this pullback to the 21. It's pretty beautiful. All right, we got about 7 minutes and some change before the bell rings. Any questions before we close this? As far as everything goes, the bullish nature of the market continues. I don't see any heavy warning signs out there other than the dollar. Yields continue to behave below 4.3. If we see a move above 4.3, that is definitely a warning sign. The VIX and VIX continue to be hammered down. There's no fear. Semiconductors and the AI charge continue to lead the way. We're still swinging names such as Procter & Gamble. We also have some ARM debit spreads. For ARM, you know, we're looking for this push back up towards about 140, 150. So we'll see if we can capture that move. But all in all, got a beautiful trend hold here. I'm going to run a scan here real quick to see what if anything gets picked up. I think I just saw Palantir on there, and Lord heaven forbid. Pull back to the daily 21. I think I'm good. It's not my favorite thing. Best Buy. Yeah, let's go check out Best Buy. Ooh, that had a nice big pullback here. Best Buy is one of those things too. It's kind of like Johnson & Johnson. It's not the sexiest thing out there by any means. You got a daily squeeze. You also got you got squeezes upon squeezes here. Ooh. Yeah, this needs to be squeezes galore. Long potential. And then what would our target be here on Best Buy? 84, I think, would be the ATR move. Keltner. Yeah, 184 would be our move there. PG finally woke up. Yeah, finally. Yeah, she's kind of a snoozer. Yeah, she's not that exciting to watch by any means. So we just kind of let that move. Okay, so if Best Buy are ooh, this one could be fun but boring at the same time. It's one of those things. Okay, let me get rid of that because that's an eyesore. Okay, so Best Buy 84. Where are we at right now? 82. So that's a 2-point move. Best Buy. Let's check out their options. If my there it goes. My TOS didn't want to work properly there. It's like my keyboard is like, no, I'm not typing that. You don't want to look at Best Buy. Let's check out the May contracts first. Ooh, there we go. The 85 con. It's going for about 210. 205. Not too shabby. 84. Stops would have to be. It also had an upgrade today. That's why it had that nice gap up. So you got some bullishness on there. Let me see. Who was that? Who upgraded? Best Buy. Let me see. Best Buy is a spring-loaded stock. Just got an upgrade. Sunnier skies are ahead for Best Buy. JP Morgan argued on Friday. Upgraded the shares of the electronics retailer to overweight from neutral and raised their target to 101 from 89. That implies a 26% gain. That's a pretty hefty upgrade. Hence the it's the move there. Okay, so 85 call. 85 call for Best Buy. Looks like a pretty sweet candidate. Let's see. It's going for about 210. Rejected hard off the VO Procter and Gamble. Yeah, I wouldn't. It's definitely not one I would watch like intraday. It's something that I'll just look at on the day-to-day basis. Okay, I definitely like this idea with Best Buy 85 call. Good trend, good trend, good trend, good structure, good structure. We would probably need to understand that at this point, if we get a pullback to 78, which is the daily 21, that would be a reason to hold. So let's do that. I gotta get my account. Okay, let me type this up. Actually, let me get filled first. I'm doing this on my other account. For May 85. Let's get this going. I better type this up quickly. BPY swing bling 85 call for May 17th. Yeah. 210. All right. Hopefully I got that out quick enough for you guys. Probably get in cheaper. All right. So let's go back here. SPY. It's not the best close here that we're having on the SPY. Okay, there's the bell. Man, those my last little lottos could have paid there. That would have been hilarious. That would have been nice. Okay, so that finishes the day. Let's see. Closed out the week pretty strong. Closed out the day pretty strong too. Let's see. IWM closes down 1.35%. The Qs were the only ones that held together, up pretty much flat on the day. Bitcoin also closed the day down 2%. Well, it's not really closed, but Bitcoin continues to struggle. Coinbase is interesting. You might want to keep an eye on that one too. But as far as sectors go, semiconductors led the way. Nvidia had a decent run, almost 950, and then we got 974 up above. Communications also led the way. We'll definitely pay attention to the dollar. So some interesting stuff. Yeah, I know that was tight on time. Yeah, we'll see where things want to go. PCE next week's going to be the biggie for sure, but that's not until next Friday. So we should still be okay up until that point. But all right. I appreciate y'all for joining me. This was recorded. I'm going to go ahead and get this uploaded for you guys so you can have it. And here's my notes for you too, in case you want to look at it, screenshot it. It'll be in the video too if you need it. Yeah, we'll see how this plays out for sure and come back to it and revisit it next week. Cool. All right. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Stay dry. It's going to be rainy here. It's dry all week long. Good golfing weather, and then the weekend happens, and then it's rainy, and I can't go golfing. I guess you can always go Top Golf, but Top Golf is expensive. They be charging you like $100 like for an hour or something like that. I don't know. Plus you're hitting off of a turf, you can really mess up your shot. Anyway, y'all have a good weekend. Have some fun. Go do whatever it is that you do. All right, guys. Take care. I'll see you guys on Monday. Thanks for joining me. Peace out.